This is For the Creators.
Welcome back to For the Creators, where it's our job to demystify creativity. In these long-form conversations, we tease out tips and tricks from all kinds of creatives, whether they're musicians, presenters, actors, directors, DJs, writers, entrepreneurs, and everything in between. Today we sit down with True Tiger. True Tiger is what I like to call a cultural influencer. He runs a record label, manages artists of various types, singers, actors, and painters, and he came up producing and DJing. We explore the early parts of modern UK culture and how it's developed over the past 2 decades or so, and how that inspired True Tiger to start a record label, wave the flag for grime in the early days with the likes of Wiley, Dizzee Rascal and Skepta, to working with Ed Sheeran and Kurupt FM. We also explore modern art, as he's become a bit of an enthusiast, and I was curious to learn more about his foray into the art world. So, for anyone that loves garage, grime or anything UK, this one is especially for you. And for everyone else that is curious, this is a great insight into our culture. So without further introduction, please enjoy my conversation with True Tiger. Welcome to the show, True Tiger.
Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you, man.
Or welcome here.
Yeah.
I don't know which way it is.
No, in your amazing place with all this art, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Surround yourself with legends.
Yeah, for real, man. Good advice. So tell me a bit about how you've kind of got to where you are in that you obviously established as a producer, DJ, run a label. What moments, like growing up, kind of led you towards that path?
I think it was just always having an interest in music from early. My dad was like in a sort of traditional Indian band group thing, and they travel around and play a load of shows. So I was around it from very early, and then I wasn't really into that music, but I just sort of obviously have to go everywhere.
Yeah.
So I sort of was around it from then, and a few other people in my family, like one of my uncles who's quite a character. He did like all the PA stuff for them, so he'd be like have all the speakers and, and stands and all of that stuff. And then it was more kind of secondary school, finding out about albums like Doggy Style from Snoop, and the Fugees album, to then like the Oasis album, Definitely Maybe, and What's the Story, Morning Glory, Prodigy, Firestarter.
Yep.
So that was kind of like the first album where I started finding out about what I'd call UK music, which kind of definitively sounded UK. Like it was a strong English sound that I hadn't heard before, and the visuals looked English and raw and like nothing I've ever seen before. So those were kind of like early albums that I remember, and even before that, obviously all the Michael Jackson stuff that really got me into music. Definitely some embarrassing videos of me dancing to Michael Jackson as a kid and all the usual, the standard stereotypical things. But yeah, even being around that time of seeing him blow up and then go through all the madness and seeing that whole journey, it was all stuff that I remember very clearly from early. So I think that was the start.
Yeah.
In answer to the question.
Yeah. So when you saw Prodigy for the first time, did that like spark your interest in like that English sound and what we could kind of produce from here?
Definitely. It was the first sort of English bit of music that I heard that really stood out to me, because it sounded British, but it sounded really fresh and exciting. And obviously I'd heard growing up a load of R&B and loads of rock, like all mainstream music. So from Michael Jackson pop to then Fugees to, anything that was kind of more crossover, for want of better words. And then hearing Prodigy and watching like the Firestarter video.
Yeah, mad.
It was the first time I was kind of like, wow, like this is really pushing stuff on every level. Like this is pushing the envelope, visually, sonically, content-wise, from the visual to the lyrics. It was really exciting to hear something that was, I think the electronic element of it as well was quite exciting, kind of hearing really evidently that this music was electronic. It wasn't like a band or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, you know, very obvious that the sounds in the Prodigy's music was not made on a harp or a piano or, you know, like a string.
Yeah.
Like the string section wasn't like the main part of it. I don't know, it's kind of just stood out differently sonically as well, just the production.
And did that, because your production and like everything that you've been involved with has kind of been forward thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
Did that like really influence you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I realised at the time, but it really influenced me, seeing what they were doing, and even just finding out about Excel through them, and just, you know, thinking, well, there's an English label that like is interesting, not just you know, like a pop machine factory or a massive you know, not like a Warner Brothers or a Universal, which felt like a million miles away. In a way, felt like,
especially back then.
Yeah, it felt like, you know, these people are in some other next higher bracket, and then there was this kind of madness and quirkiness to this Prodigy stuff, and the branding of it and the marketing of it, which then all kind of led back to Excel as well. And it's like, right, this is cool as well, that there's a UK label like doing this exciting stuff. So yeah, that all was sort of strong early memories of what I like to call like more exciting, cutting edge music. Yeah,
for real. And so you started out as a label, right?
Yeah. So, well, I started out as a DJ, DJing garage, because that was like after the Prodigy. That was kind of the there was like a period where I was into jungle a bit, when it was really crossing over, and I found out about it through it almost becoming more commercial. I kind of think that helped me find jungle, because I definitely wasn't like in the jungle raves early on. I would never sort of, you know, claim that I knew about that scene, but I heard about it sort of through it crossing to more overground, and seeing jungle tapes and stuff at like market stalls in East London and that kind of thing. You know, you kind of sort of see these random tapes and stuff, and pick them up because they look cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember the kind of covers.
Yeah, you think, right, this looks kind of cool.
They all look like flyers, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like, I should buy this, really. I don't have a clue what most of these tracks are. But I think jungle's kind of cool, and the cover and the vibe of it looks cool. So I just, bought a few jungle tapes, got a little bit into that, but not massively. And then it was when garage come along that I really got into that through my cousin. He was a garage DJ. He had a pair of belt drive decks around his, and then showed me a little bit on that, and then I got into DJing from there. And then it kind of went from there, basically.
So how did that develop into a label?
It's a bit mad, because started as a DJ, and it was just me and a few other friends from Watford. Just like there was like a few of us in our school that are into garage, like out of the whole year, like 3 or 4 people. And then we started DJing, basically, and there was pirate radio stations around Watford by then. A lot of garage events were weirdly happening in Watford, at Destiny and Bar Reza and all these places that were there back in the day. And through that started DJing at those places, and then managed to get a link to Gas Club, which was a big club in West End for garage back in the day, and managed to do a couple of warm-up sets there, just playing really early on. And then that turned into doing a slot on pirate radio, which was Shine FM, which was East London Hackney-based radio station, actually not too far from where I am. And
that's a nice little loop.
Yeah, it's mad. I walk past there some days and like, damn, like we were above that shop.
Crazy.
Like in this kitchen, basically. And, you know, it used to be so grotty. And I remember like being shook getting out of the car back in those days, like, as soon as we stepped out the car,
Yeah.
I was like, right, this is dodge. Like, we need to get straight to the door, straight upstairs, and we need to be letting, the whole thing. You're like paranoid because you're going to pirate radio.
Exactly.
And back in those days, like going to Hackney, it wasn't a fun outing. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't
Definitely
like,
weren't.
let's go out in East for some cocktails and
Yeah.
fancy fried chicken. It definitely wasn't then.
No.
It wasn't that back then. So, I remember that. And it was a good learning curve of sort of being thrown in the deep end to do something as a hobby. But then, do you know what I mean? Because you're just there. You're not getting paid to do it. You're paying them.
Yeah.
And you're just doing it because you like DJing.
Getting the sound up.
Yeah, getting the sound out. And
Were you playing your own bits?
not yet then. We started towards the end of that. And then I teamed up with a couple other people from my school, and we started making tunes, basically. Right. And then we made like a 4-track demo. And we played a couple of them bits on Shine and Agent X. I remember Agent X were on Shine, and they were kind of like one of the biggest garage names at the time. Like, we loved all of their production. They were doing really exciting stuff with like Decoy and all of those tracks there. And I remember giving them a dub plate of it. Obviously back then as well, if you're trying to get someone to play your tune, you try and enhance the chances by doing them like a dub. So we did them a dub plate and did one for EZ and Martin Lana and Matt Jam Lamont and all these different garage names. And we had this 4-track EP that we'd put together, and then I took that to a guy called Huckleberry Finn, who worked at Uptown Records, which was like one of the main hubs of UK garage at the time. Was like there was Black Market, Uptown, and a few others, Pure Groove, and there was definitely a few record shops, but Uptown was in Soho, one of the places. You knew a lot of names would go down there as well, and you get a lot of tunes slightly earlier there, all of that. So I started becoming a regular there, and then thought, right, well, that's a good place to take the demo. Gave it to this guy, Huckleberry Finn, just thinking he worked at Uptown. He's a known garage DJ as well. Like, he was already playing a lot of garage raves. So I just thought, give it to him. He might be able to play it on his sets or, whatever. And then turned out he was at A&R at Polydor.
Oh, wow.
This was when garage was getting bigger, and they'd signed Miss Dynamite just before that, after like the success of Boo and whatnot. So we were there. So next thing we know, we've got this 4-track demo, and then 2 of the tracks have been signed to Polydor.
Smashed it.
And then the other 2 got picked up by a record called Props Records, like a small indie, and they were releasing this artist called Nisha's Stuff back in the day. She had a couple of big like vocal garage tunes. So we're quite gassed to have release on them. So all 4 tunes got signed, which was kind of mad. Man. And obviously at that point we didn't have a clue what we were doing. Like, we just wanted to get the tunes out there. And I think it was the excitement of having your tunes on vinyl. That was like, we need to get this music on vinyl. And then in these record shops where we love going and spending all our lunch money and blah, blah, blah. So, that was kind of the aim. Was, all right, let's get these tunes out. So we managed to get them both signed. And then obviously we were signed to Polydor. So it meant the other release had to come under a different name. Right. And then that was kind of the start of it. And we went from sort of being gassed about being at Polydor to then ultimately, sort of long story short, Miss Dynamite never done, because we were going to be involved in a second album, which is going to be a little darker. Oh, okay. She just done a little deeper, which was like the first album, more soulful. Because obviously she come through with like the garage stuff and a lot more kind of hype MC vibe, and then went on. The first album was a lot more soulful R&B, which was amazing as well. Like, I'm not saying that in a negative way, because it was a sick album. Yeah, her first album, still like classic songs to this day on there. But then we were meant to be involved in like the second project, which was almost like them kind of doing something a bit darker to show that she was still, like effing with the whole garage movement and the grime movement that was starting to come through as well at that time. And that just never happened. And then the person that signed us there, he left the label So we ended up just kind of being there, and no one really was that bothered about what we were doing. We did a remix of The Ends. Are You Ready from The Ends?
Yeah.
Through Polydor at the time, and that was the one thing that we actually sort of did that was good for us whilst we were there, and the rest of the time we were just kind of stuck in a contract, which was really long because we were obviously just fresh and ready to go and trying to get vinyls out, and going from trying to bang out a load of vinyl, we then like couldn't do anything, which dragged on, and then obviously we just rode that out, and then after that I was kind of like, right, F this. Like, we need to have total control.
Got it.
We need to know what's going on with every aspect of what we're doing here. Like, we need to really be in charge of our music. So that's what we done. I set up True Tiger Recordings and then just started signing different stuff that I found through MSN or through MySpace
then,
or through just like going to record shops and hearing stuff on pirate radio on someone else's show. And then trying to link the person or meeting them at Uptown or wherever. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. We put out a few releases by different people. Released a track called Not Wise by Dr. Venom, which was like a big grime instrumental.
Yeah.
And then he went on to sort of start a band called Hadouken. They'd done really well.
Yep, I remember that. I remember seeing their stickers everywhere.
Yeah, they were like kind of like the indie electronic stage that kind of came just after grime. So we did some stuff with some cool people, and then we started releasing our own stuff, like me and a couple of other guys that I was working with together under the name Scandalous Unlimited, and then we started releasing vinyls through our label, and then the first one we done called Watford Weather started getting a lot of pickup,
right?
Mainly like from like the 4/4 garage heads. So like EZ and Matt Jam and all of those kind of names were really kind of pushing that, and that kind of got us out there a bit,
which is nice. That's kind of like full circle from when you were first trying to get tunes to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we finally had a tune that properly was reacting.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, every tune you think is good when you're working on it.
Of course.
And then as you do more and more, and that's what I always say to people, like, take time with releasing music, never rush it. A lot of people, like any person that has a creative product or output, they want to get it out there. That's the whole kind of point of doing it as well, is kind of getting your creative ideas out there. So we kind of realised that tune had more legs than everything that we'd done up till then, just like one song. We'd achieved the same thing as all these other little bits and bobs we'd done up till then. So that was cool. Got us on the map. The vinyl sold out. And then after that, it was at the time where grime was really kind of coming into its own. And I just really loved the whole vibe of it. Yeah. Just everything about grime, from the DJs, from Mac 10 and Slimzy. Yeah. To from their vibe to hearing all the early MCs, even from Heartless Crew. I used to listen. We used to drive to North sometimes because I was in Watford. Yeah, we used to drive to North or East just to hear Heartless Crew. Just catch them on Mission FM 90.6. We used to just go wherever we needed to go to catch that and just sit in the car and listen to the show. Those times were sick, man. Yeah, it was sick, and it was hearing something that was mad because you were hearing garage, but it was slowly like morphing into grime. Yep. And Heartless really kind of, for me, were one of the main people that really brought that in a classy way. And then obviously like So Solid, Pay As You Go was very soon after. And yeah, they used to come to Watford. There was like the famous Pay As You Go Heartless Clash in Watford at Destiny. And I used to get to see all of it. I remember I went up to Wiley when he come to Destiny, and I was just there, just waved, just like, I'm going to go and chat to him. And just went up and was like, yeah, you're sick. That Nicole Grooves vinyl's sick. Like, I've got that. I don't know, I was chatting some shit to him. He must have thought I was a dick. And just sort of, just pitied me and said thanks and whatever. But all of that was there on our doorstep. So I was just really, and because we were one of the few people from Watford actually playing garage, and we were on Shine FM, and we got to play Gas Club, and we ended up going to play Gas Club in Napa as well, because it was done by the same promoter. It kind of meant we were getting booked to play all these like garage and grime things, and we booked Heartless to play in Watford, and then they booked us to play their Black and White Balls at Destiny.
Nice.
So that was, I started getting a few ins through there and meeting a few people from Heartless crew to like MC Viper and Be Live and people like that. They were kind of more garage MCs, but more MCing rather than just hosting, because garage was known for like its hosts.
Yeah.
They were just kind of complementing the music.
Kind of like how drum and bass is.
Yeah, they're there to complement the music, hype the DJ, hype the crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas people like Heartless and Be Live and Viper were like trying to spit lyrics, like 24 bars, 32 bars.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to stop. They just wanted to MC over the whole tune. So, I got to know some of that kind of crowd, and then we just started making more and more grime sounding stuff, really. It was just kind of going that way. And some of it was with Be Live and, a few other people around that time. And then I decided that I wanted to put out a grime mixtape.
Yeah.
So I went about making a mixtape called Eye of the Tiger. Because the label was True Tiger, and I wanted to call it Eye of the Tiger to kind of say, right, we got the vision of what the UK is about. I'd realised that at that point, I was like, right, these MCs and this production sound, this is what we're about. Like, this is really us. Because up till then, everyone was very much basing their music, their fashion, their lifestyle, their jewellery, like clothing, everything, slang was based on American stuff, like in terms of my crowd and whatnot. And even if you weren't from like into hip hop and stuff, you were into bands, and most of those bands were American same time as well. So the American culture was very much the cool culture. Yeah. Everything. And even radio, I remember in live, it was always the biggest deal when American artists was over. Like that was the highlight, was it? Right, we've got this person from America. You know what I mean? For all the way from LA, all the way from New York, and that was the high point of any live event, any radio special guest. That's what we were kind of brought up on. And then I started seeing these UK guys and kind of being lucky enough to kind of reach out to them and get access to him, and I just saw him from meeting Dizzee and being in studio with him. I was just like, this is like worldwide talent here. This is what it's all about. This sound, these lyrics, this slang, like this is what it's about. So I just went about. From then, we were set on a mission to get that sound basically out there as much as we could, and it was kind of not like, we were going to come along and take this sound everywhere, because it was already getting about with Sidewinder, with Rinse FM, with the likes of Slimzy, Dizzee, Wiley. They were putting out vinyls, even Aftershock, Terror, and those guys, DOK, and all of them lot were on it. The Paper Chase lot with Da Vinci and his whole crew, like they were all on it. So I've kind of wanted to be another, sort of
another strand.
Yeah, another strand, but doing it our way.
Yeah.
So Eye of the Tiger Volume 1 was essentially that, trying to do a mixtape that showed what grime was about and how big grime could be. And because at that time, a lot of it was still radio based, sets, all Sidewinder live, tape packs, tunes here and there, but still mainly like instrumentals, a lot of instrumentals and freestyles.
Yeah, it was all kind of fragmented back then.
Like Aim High, DVDs and Risky Roads, it was like those almost clips of that, or Lord of the Mics, those kind of things were getting about. And I wanted to show that these people are the next big artists. Like these are the guys that are actual artists. Because obviously everyone looked down on grime early on, even from the name to the raves and everything. We had problems trying to get it about. No one really wanted to pay attention to it from any angle, radio, live, whatever. Everyone was scared of really kind of embracing it or investing in it as well. So we just went about doing this mixtape that showed the different vibes of grime. which was quite mad. I was thinking about it actually the other day, because I realised, like, shit, we got all these people to come to Watford, like where we were, and like no one, and I don't remember it really being a massive deal to anyone.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, I think trying to get everyone together it'd be so difficult. But we managed to do it. Like everyone came really. We were lucky. Like Dizzee came, Wiley came, Skepta came, Plan B came before he'd started releasing his stuff.
Yep.
Gets came. Quite a lot of people. Like we were lucky. Mighty Mo worked with him.
Yeah.
In the studio, and we got a lot of cool names in the place. Be Live, Purple came as well. Purple was a West London MC that we were working with a lot.
Right.
So we had like a load of cool names coming to Watford, and then we put together this mixtape, and the idea was to kind of show all the angles of grime, so like the more heavy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of a bit more in your face and for clubs, to then the more like down tempo, like more melodic stuff as well, because a lot of grime was just based around heavy instrumentals and bass and like angry bars, which was sick a lot of the time. But I kind of wanted to show different sides of it as well. We just did that basically with a load of different names from the scene, and we ended up with like 3 tracks on one extra playlist. One got on Kiss playlist, Daytime, which was like the first track from a mixtape ever to go on Kiss playlist. Wow. And then one extra at that time. Like mixtapes were the thing at that time, like even in UK hip hop and anything sort of UK based was kind of, people were trying to do mixtapes, because obviously no one was at album stage. No one could even afford to do an album.
No, exactly.
Do album visuals and shit like that. So everyone, I remember like J2K did sick mixtape around the time as well, which was really inspiring. Yep. I got to shout him out because his first mixtapes were really strong and just visionary. If you can find them, check them out. And then Wretch as well came through, and I was lucky enough to work with him early on, and we put out the vinyl of Learn From My Mixtape. Yeah. We released that on True Tiger, and I was working with him quite a lot early on. And Gets, like the movement, as they got together, we were doing a lot of stuff with them. We recorded this acoustic session of Gets, which was like the first time anyone had heard him on a guitar, and we just whacked it out on the guitarist YouTube, and next thing it like had hundreds of thousands of views. But it was just that thing of like trying slightly different stuff with grime artists.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what we were trying to do, was bring something a little bit different, because obviously there was already the whole Esky sound, there was already the sub-low sound with Johnny Cash and his movement, and then the 8-bar sound. You know, there was all these little pockets already. Da Vinci coming through with his own sound as well, and Terror, of course, as well. So we were just trying to do our own thing, which I guess was mixing a bit more of a musical vibe to it, but also trying to show that people can do songs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that became like the main moment and project that put us out there, and people took notice of us. And after that, it was easier to get in studio with people. It was off that we got to, that I got to meet with Dizzee and he came to our studio, and there was those kind of things that kind of led to that.
That's amazing.
And even just doing that sound then was kind of just being, I think it's about doing what you want to do. Because if you start doing what everyone else is doing, then you're not going to catch the ears and the eyes of the key people. You might catch the eyes and attention of people that are just currently into that sound, but in terms of like the tastemakers and the real innovators, innovators look out for things that are different and new and fresh. They don't look out for another Wiley.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like sound-wise, they're not looking for another Kano or another Dizzee sound-wise. Like they're looking for the next new sounds, and I think it's because we just did what we thought would be good, not trying to do what Wiley had done, or what musical,
exactly.
not trying to do an 8-bar tune.
Yeah.
Because Musical Mob had 4 big 8-bar tunes at the time. Like a load of other people started doing them, so
I remember.
that just wasn't our way of thinking. not to knock people that jumped on it, but it just wasn't our way of thinking. It was just like, we want to do something. I always think going left is better. So
agreed.
Yeah, so we just went left, and that luckily caught the ears of like Wiley, and we got to be in studio with him. And one of the biggest tracks off the mixtape was a Wiley track called WD25.
Yeah.
Where he just spat for three minutes straight, and we got on daytime playlist with it, which was amazing.
Smashed it, especially then, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. And even just to have Wiley on the tune, just spitting 3 minutes straight, and everyone being excited about it, because it's, you know, not even, people don't even care about us as much as Wiley at all at that point. You know, no one, we was just still up and coming producers, and Wiley was the guy.
Yeah.
So having him on 3 records was a real blessing, and it kind of made people pay attention to what we're doing. And the mixtape sold out in a weekend.
Dope.
On CD. So big up everyone that's got any of those couple of thousand CDs.
Yeah.
Stood about.
Limited run.
But yeah, that was kind of the starting point, and really put the label on the map as well. And then, yeah, from there we just kind of kept going. That kind of let us know that we were doing the right thing, because that took a lot of time and effort, and, you know, trying to get everyone down, like recording MCs is really long and disheartening from a producer's point of view, because they can delay a lot and take ages.
That sounds like a bit of a task.
Yeah, to actually turn up to studio. So once you get through that, and then you're getting some music out there, it gives you the motivation to kind of go, right, let's
because you got it under your belt.
Yeah. And we'd also got people's ears. I think that's the tough thing, is getting people's attention in the first place. So if you're starting out, it's like, there's a million other people do, especially nowadays. Like now, the market is so saturated with new MC singers, you know, whether you're a new UK female singer, or whether you're trying to become a big MC or a big producer, there's already loads of people doing it, or a big band, you know. There's so many people doing it, and been doing it for years, that have held their space and held their market share. So getting in is the difficult part, I think. But yeah, you just got to do what feels good to you, and try not to change it because someone tells you to change it. Obviously there's constructive criticism on production, on vocals, on songwriting. There's always good feedback that you can take from collaborating with people and doing more sessions, but essentially I think you need to stick with your gut on what you think it should be.
Definitely. How did you then get into like art? Because I mean, if you follow Stanza on Instagram, you'll know that he's like really into art, and he's got really good taste as well. And right now I'm looking around, and there's some really good pieces. I like art, but I'm learning a lot just by vicariously like living this art life through Stanza's Instagram. So how did that manifest itself?
I've always liked art from early, from going to the boring art museums with school. I've always found those sort of paintings and stuff interesting, even like traditional old school art that you'd see at like the Tate and Portrait Museum, or wherever your school would take you. To then discovering street art really early on, kind of getting into Banksy and Space Invader and Shepherd Fairy, and kind of noticing what they were doing, and Sweet Tooth as well, like London artists. And yeah, just kind of seeing it around, basically. When you'd go to, we used to go Plastic People for Forward, and I remember going into, and this was like the first time that I really knew about going into Shoreditch, you know, for a night out. And yeah, you're just driving in from Watford, you'd start, as soon as you got east and in around like Shoreditch, Hackney area, you start seeing graffiti and stuff around on the walls, because there wasn't much of that in Watford really. So yeah, it was just kind of spotting these people out and about, and then hearing about it through wherever, like through magazines or you know, through different like people I know. And yeah, and then I had a couple of pieces. I bought like a Shepherd Fairy print early on, and a couple of other like pieces of tigers because I love tigers. So I was always buying art that had tigers on it. But like not really because of the artist, but just because I like tiger imagery. So it kind of went from that, and then it kind of manifested when I started managing Ruben Dangle.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so that was like a bit of a left turn for me, because I'd never managed anyone from the art world, and definitely didn't feel like I knew loads about the art world at all. I just liked a bit of art and saw what some artists had done, and really enjoyed their story and their branding and how they'd done it, from people like Shepard Fairey, who just used the art of repetition and, you know, just tested that out by posting the same image as many times as he could around the world, just going everywhere and just literally posting the same picture everywhere and hoping that people would start realizing, like, fuck, I keep seeing this picture everywhere I go. I'm seeing this same face, which I've always really interesting to Banksy, who was really kind of interesting in how he placed his work, like the timing and where he put his work, and the fact that he was very on the button with what was going on in the world. I found that quite interesting, that someone was commentating on what was actually going on in the world, but in a cool way, not like watching it on the 9 o'clock news and someone telling you that something's happened or there's a war going on. Because that's the only way I'd only really seen it, or in newspapers and shit. There wasn't really like loads of social media debate about it then. It was kind of like you got it on the news or you got it in a newspaper.
That's right, yeah.
Or there was an image about that same story that Banksy's kind of done a remix of. You know, he's remade that image or reworked it or done something that nods to something going on in the world. So I love that. And the fact that he remained like anonymous with it as well was really interesting, that no one knew who he was, and he had no interest in people actually knowing who he was, trying to, you know, he wasn't interested in being a celeb or anything. And then same with Space Invader, just seeing Space Invaders everywhere I'd go. You just notice the mosaic tiles of different Space Invader characters, and I just thought it was really sick.
That's amazing, man. Like you said two really interesting things. Firstly, you said about the art of repetition. So it wasn't even just the art piece itself. No. It was the context around it.
Yeah.
That
I think what I love is branding and how you get yourself out there. Like finding a route to get yourself out there is a good challenge for me.
Yeah.
And those guys, in terms of branding and finding a route to get their art out there in their way, like they are absolute geniuses and masters of that trade.
It's mad because like, when you think about all the timing and, like you said, like with Banksy, the timing and the locations and how people then stumble upon it, and it obviously takes over all the headlines and stuff, but it's always on point in terms of the impact that it makes.
Yeah, he nailed it. He was thought out. Whereas a lot of street art before that, it's just you'd find a wall and you'd graph on that wall because it was a big wall, or because it was near to where you live, or there's already other graffiti on there, so you think, oh, fuck it, this wall's all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in trouble. This wall's already been graphed over 17 times, so I'm going to add my own little thing, or I'm going to paste up a little something here amongst 20 other paste ups. But what he done was he come up with ideas and then placed them in places that were relevant to that idea.
It's amazing.
Whether that's here in London, you know, and he'd done pieces in Shoreditch. He did the police officer snorting a line.
You remember that?
Off the floor in Shoreditch, to going to Disney World and putting a Guantanamo Bay victim on the railing of the log fume ride.
Wow.
So when people would go down the log fume, you'd get to the bottom, get splashed, and then see someone like they're from Guantanamo Bay tied up with their face covered and in the orange jumpsuit. And yeah, it was just powerful, and it was the impact and the hype that it created. So those were the ones that stood out. And then managing Ruben, when I found out about Ruben's stuff, it was through Kurupt FM. they put me onto him, and he submitted almost like fan artwork to them. He just done a he just done a piece ahead because we just announced that we were doing a new series. So he did like an image to kind of celebrate that, just for fun, on Instagram, and tagged them in it. And they loved it and posted it, shared it. It's kind of like a new series coming soon image.
Yeah.
And it went down really well. So then they asked him to do one for each episode of that series.
Smashed it.
So he ended up doing all 6 images for the series, which were all really good and clever and just sick visuals, and just bang on point as well, bang on brand, and everything was really good. So I was interested in him from them, but the boys just dealt with that directly. I didn't even sort it out or anything. They sorted it out. And then soon after that, I started seeing his portraits of grime MCs. So he did DEE, which I've got the test one over there. That's like the first test print we'd done. And when he done that, I was like, wow, like, this guy is next level.
Definitely
like,
next
the Kurupt
level.
stuff was really good, and now this is just cemented to me.
Just for context for anyone listening, Ruben's stuff is very, very like, imagine very classically drawn paintings, but it's with modern characters that we all know. You have to check it out on Instagram, and then he shows that he has. But yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah, and it was that thing that he was doing, sort of adding on to what you said, like he really got that merge of 17th century like English portraits, like the old British royals would be sort of painted, or someone that, like someone that owned a big country estate or mansion, they'd have a portrait of themselves like looking really dapper and looking sick. That's what Ruben was going for. But then in his mind, he felt at that moment in time that DEE, Skepta, Stormzy, Wiley, like they should be celebrated in the same way those old 17th century figures were. Like, these are our new day heroes, because they're, inspiring kids to do something good, and they're like fully repping the UK with what they do. So I was just loving it. I was actually just sort of seeing it pop up. I saw the DEE one pop up, then saw the Skepta one pop up.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
And I was like, this is sick. And then in my mind, I was like, I need to reach out to this guy. Like, for the first time, I can see how I can get involved in the art world. Like, I can help him, because I know all these people that he's painting, and I know that world really well. And I've got interest in the art world. So
that's insane, the way that's come about.
Yeah, and then next thing, it was Asim Chowdhury, who plays Jabadi G. He rung me. He's like, I've just been with Ruben, and I was telling him he should put on a show. And I said that you might be able to help him put on a show.
Oh, right. So this is before you reached out to him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and then Asim mentioned it. He's like, we've just been chatting, and he's got all this hype from all the grime portraits. Like, everyone's talking about them and posting them. So I said, like, now's his time to do a show. Like, he should do a little something. Do you want to chat to him? And I was like, that's so mad, because in my mind, I've been thinking I need to be connected to I was going to ask one of you lot to loop me in with him. So then I spoke to him, and we were like, let's meet up. We should chat about trying to do a show. Definitely think there's something there. And you could try and get one of, some of the artists involved, and blah, blah, blah. And we met up, and we're like, right, cool, let's definitely try and do a show. And in our mind, we were like, right, do something intimate in East London, find a small space, something that fits 100 people, 200 people, try and get a sponsor on board or whatever, and do like a little show. Mm-hmm. And then at that time, I had Kurupt FM scheduled to play at Tate Britain. We'd been asked to do something pretty mad, which was have Kurupt do a takeover at Tate Britain as part of their later Tate series, which is really cool, where they do like a load of events which are aimed at young people to get them down to Tate, and they get really sort of cool underground music curators and DJs and fashion people and arts people involved with their nights. You should check them out. Yeah. And they asked Kurupt to headline one. So like, come down, let's have a meeting. We want to show you the space and where we're planning to do it. I said, all right, cool. Because in my mind, I'm like, how are we going to have Kurupt at the Tate? This is mental. Like, two completely different worlds. And up till then, we'd only played, like proper music venues and clubs. So I went down there, and as I'm walking around being shown stuff for Kurupt, like where it's going to be, they're showing me obviously like the different rooms, and then I'm seeing some of the art in there. I'm like, this is exactly the kind of stuff these are like the pieces that have inspired Ruben's work.
Yeah.
So when we got back to the meeting room, I was like, also, like after we'd got through all the sort of initial planning for Kurupt FM's show there, I was like, also, I've just started managing an artist and we're looking for somewhere to do his first show. It just occurred to me that it actually could work pretty well to do it as part of this on the same night. And then as soon as they saw his work, they were like, yeah, this is perfect.
That's
we
amazing,
love it.
man.
Yeah. So it just really worked out. And then next thing you know, it's like Ruben Dangle, exhibiting at Tate Britain, and also grime artists at the Tate Britain for the first time ever, like being shown.
Yeah. Which
then became a real news story. And we had everyone from like LA Times to, like Enemy, GQ, Dazed and Confused.
Wow.
Everyone was writing about it because it was the first time that grime artists had been sort of shown in a gallery of that stature.
Yeah.
And the timing of it was perfect because grime for the first time was really starting to be acknowledged, with Skepta coming through. And, even Wiley and DWE were really on form at the time.
Yeah.
Stormzy was really coming through as well.
Exactly.
So the whole grime movement was, back in a big way. And yeah, just time. It was perfect timing, man.
Timing. And it just goes back to what we were talking about with art and timing. It's just, although it wasn't like planned out that way.
Yeah.
It was you hit it at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. Ruben's a master at that. That's one of his strong points. He is a master at timing his work. And timing work is really important, I think, definitely. In whatever you're doing, music, art, releasing products, the timing is very key. And it's always a tough thing to get right. Because there's so many variables when you're doing creative stuff, especially when it's DIY. But yeah, timing is definitely key, and we got really lucky with the timing of that. And it really launched Ruben in a pretty big way, to be honest. So, that was cool.
That's amazing. So just to dial back as well, like, because you mentioned Kurupt FM. How did you get involved with Kurupt?
I saw it on YouTube when it was just webisodes.
Yeah.
Me, Pro Green, Mr. Jam, Ed Sheeran, loads of us, bare heads, one man. Loads of people were watching it when it was just webisodes, like from the music scene. For like all of us were kind of mentioning it to each other. Right. Because it was that good. You'd start telling other, like, when you're linking something, you're like, have you seen that? Like, people just do nothing corrupt thing on YouTube, and it's like taking the piss out of garage and pirate radio and that whole vibe. And yeah, it just was word of mouth thing. So I was watching it. I thought, I just need to message him, like, this is sick. I'm going to message him and say, this is sick. Yeah. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You lot are onto something. And then they messaged back, and they'd heard of the True Tiger stuff. And they were like, we should get you in an episode. It would be jokes to get you in an episode. Yeah. So I was just like, sick. Like, fuck it, let's do it. It'd be jokes to do. And it'd be good to meet him and everything. And yeah, like, I kind of knew from early that they had something special, because normally when you do a video shoot or any kind of filming thing, or even a photo shoot, you'd get like some kind of brief, maybe a treatment of some sort of mood board that kind of explains what's going to be going on, and then you'd get a call sheet as well. Yeah. And a call sheet basically is like the on the day details, like who's the director, who's the point of contact, where is there parking, the weather, call sheet. Call sheets can be well detailed. Yeah, proper. Yeah. So I've seen some of those and was kind of used to that shit. And then when they asked me to be on the show, it was like, okay, cool, here's the address for this place. It's a Barber's. We're filming the episode in this Barber's. Come, like, get there for 5 p.m. And that was it. And that was all the info that I got. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's just head down and see what happens. And then, they started filming. And then I realised quickly that they didn't have a script. They were just kind of making it up and they obviously must have discussed some kind of loose idea of what the episode was going to be and
Right.
what the start and end is, but there was just no scripts in sight, and they were literally just off the top of the dome, just like going through this episode, which I just found amazing. I just found it really really creative, and I hadn't really been around many kind of like we'd been in Phone Shop, me and Chunky, who was emceeing with me a lot for the gigs and stuff. He was playing an MC, and I was meant to be there as sort of DJ MC hype guy at a wedding in Phone Shop.
Oh yeah.
And
That show was sick.
yeah, and we ruined the wedding. It was jokes, but from doing that, I saw like the top end TV, right? You know, like scripts and rehearsal and run through and like how it's sort of done at a top level, and then I saw these guys filming it themselves and had no script and just giving it a go basically and sticking it on YouTube because they thought it was funny between themselves, you know, not even really like trying to get on TV or whatever. But yeah, I just loved that, and I just thought it was really special and just kept in touch from there. And then they did series 1. Yeah, they did series 1, and then that did well on online on iPlayer and BBC Three. And then it was actually after that they got booked to play a festival that I was playing called Outlet Festival. And they didn't. I don't think they knew many people from the scene at that point. So they asked me if I'd DJ at they had a boat party, like a Kurupt boat party at Outlook. Okay. And I was like, yeah, I'll play it. Like, it'll be jokes. And I'd never seen them live. And all I'd ever seen was obviously like 30 seconds on one of the episodes of like them MCing and DJing. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what this is going to actually be like. I don't know if they can actually DJ and MC beyond like short little clips. But yeah, once I was on there and saw their set, I was blown away. It was like being at a garage rave, old school garage grime rave. Yeah. 1 minute, you know, you're just raving.
Which you lived through.
Yeah. And it was like sort of being in that environment. And the next thing you feel like you're at a stand-up comedy night. Like they're cracking jokes and like taking the piss out of someone in the front row. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, hold tight the Gurners, like jaw swingers in the front row, and you know, like just ripping into people, like hold tight the guys in the Hirachis and all of this shit. And I just thought it was mad. But it didn't feel weird. It didn't feel like, now this is odd, like either do stand up. I don't, you know, because they weren't stopping the music. It weren't like they'd somehow just merged the two things of chatting, kind of like hosting over the garage, but the hosting parts were kind of comedy, essentially.
Smashed it.
Yeah, so, and then after that, I was like, oh, that was sick. Like, you know, when you playing the actual festival, because a boat only holds like 200 people, and the festival had flown 7 of them out. They'd even flown out Lady Mish. She was there as well. They'd flown out a full crew. So I was like, when you playing the festival, they're like, oh, we're just doing the boat party. Oh. And I was like, what? They've like flown you all out here and you're not even playing the actual festival, like where there's thousands of, you know, people potentially at some of the stages and shit. Yeah. And they're like, oh no, we didn't really think of it like that. We were just happy, obviously, you know, that they wanted to book us and got to come to Croatia. So I was just like, yeah, we should chat when we get back. And they're like, yeah, we really need some advice because we're just doing it on our own and we're taking the bookings directly and we don't we don't know how much to charge. And I was kind of surprised, to be honest, because I thought, shit, these lot have done a series on BBC and they haven't got management, like they haven't got someone repping them. So, which I was shocked at, because in my mind I assumed they had. I assumed as soon as they got onto BBC, all of that must have, you know, formulated in some shape or form. So I was shocked in the first place that they didn't have someone doing it. So I just said, yeah, let's meet up, have a chat when they get back. Not even really fully thinking like, oh, I should do this. I was just like, yeah, cool, I can help you. Where I'd known them from the webisode, I was like, yeah, obviously, like, you know, we can meet up and I can give you guys some pointers on who booking agents or whatever the hell they wanted, really. And then from chatting to him, he was like, actually, I think I could do this. Do you know what I mean? I think I could help with this. And then it was, and just before that, I started taking management more seriously because I self-managed all the True Tiger stuff. Yeah. From the label to the production, I'd managed it all. So I thought, right, I'm going to start managing other acts. Had picked up a couple of other acts as well just before them. And then yeah, and then it was all right, cool. Let's, like, I can manage you guys and build this up, build the different avenues outside of TV up, because the TV was obviously going well. The first series was received well on BBC, and all of that was building. They were looking like they were going to get another series commissioned. They were waiting for the confirmation, and then I started managing them, and then I remember they were a bit nervy because they were waiting longer than they had expected to find out about Series 2.
Oh, right.
And then it was like, oh, actually, we don't know now because it's taking so long. We're now like a bit... Yeah, everyone's a little bit unsure. I'm sure others were more confident than some. But, eventually that came through. Like, we got the word that they'd been commissioned for another series, which was great news. And then I just wanted to start building their sort of branding and Kurupt FM as a commodity outside of TV, because I'd seen the live show at Outlook, and I knew that it could work in like a live environment, and I knew it was something really fresh and new to the club and sort of garage and grime scene, to that whole world. We just went about that basically. I thought, and it's why whenever I want to work with someone, it's because I think they've got cult branding. So going back to Prodigy,
exactly,
they had cult branding, and that was the first time I saw cult branding.
So that's always been your reference point.
From a UK point of view, yeah. Before that, even Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, that body of work really, for me and him at that period of time, was so well branded. Yeah. From his features from NWA to how Dre, how he introduced him, gave you a little flavour of him, and then Doggy Style came, and from the skits, to the artwork, it really sold you who Snoop Dogg was. Like, you knew, if you listened to that and took it in properly, you knew a lot about Snoop. You knew he was into gin and juice. You knew he liked smoking a lot of weed. You knew he liked Dobermans. You knew he was from LA. Do you know what I mean? You knew he was a Crip. Like, you've found out a lot of stuff, and that is good branding.
Very good,
in one body of work. So I've always just been attracted to people that have cult branding, or that kind of cult feeling to them. And Kurupt definitely had that. There was a cult movement because from the webisodes, it was a cult thing that people in the music scene were watching, like religiously, and talking about it to anyone they could, because it was that good. Yeah. If you knew anyone that was into garage or grime, or had been on pirate radio at some point in their life, or they tried to be a garage MC, everyone has a mate.
Exactly. Everyone was in that bedroom.
Yeah. I've got a couple of mates. I grill them about their old MC names. You know what I mean? They're like dads now and got kids and doing like normal jobs. And like, remember when you were an MC? Yeah. And you remember some of their bars.
Remember the bars?
Yeah, exactly. Which were terrible, so bad. But everyone related to it, so I just knew it had a cult thing, and it was obviously very close to what I'd grown up to musically. And that whole culture around it, from the clothing, from the tracksuit lifestyle to the Machino lifestyle to the slang and the music around it. And then even Chabuddy, everyone knew that wide boy, the Asian wide boy. He reckoned him or his uncle could get anything.
Exactly.
So I think it was that cult branding that I wanted to build on, and we did their own headline show at Village Underground, and we just went and made sure that the show was more than just a set. We wanted to make sure there was some production elements in it. So I got them to film a video where they're pretending to break into the venue. So the set started with them like they can't even get into their own show. Like Beats and Grinder can't get in, and the security won't let them in because they got weed, and they have to break in through the back. So we just made it a bit more of a, like an experience in a show rather than just like a DJ MC. They get on, DJ plays the intro tune, and then the MC comes out and does his tunes and freestyles over other instrumentals and hosts over the vocal tunes, which is very much the formula for years in the underground club world, from drum and bass to garage to even some house events. It's all to grime. It's all very much that standard traditional format, DJ, MC on the stage, or artists and DJ, and that was it really. So we just kind of wanted to make it a bit more of a show where they were actors and bring that acting element into it as well, and the visual, because Kurupt are a visual act, and people get excited when they see him. So even soon, and I knew it worked, because soon as the video came on of Beats and Grinder stuck outside the venue, everyone started cheering, and it created, you know what I mean? It created
crazy,
that kind of anticipation and hype. It's like, oh, they're, you know, like that's the guys off the telly, and now we're about to experience them like firsthand. So
wow,
yeah, I think it was just about building on what they had, which was a very cool thing. They'd come up with something really amazing on their own, and it was just about trying to get that from where it was to becoming like a widely known brand and act.
that's mad. And the latest release is via XL, right?
Yeah.
So that's like mad full circle from the Prodigy, and then understanding what XL did
it's crazy.
for UK music,
Yeah.
and for you to be involved with them now.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. It's still surreal, still doesn't feel real, because forever I've sort of regarded them as the best record label in the world. And then, there we are, like years later, working with them, and sat there with Richard Russell, and he's like there having his tea, and we're just like in his place. It was surreal.
That's nuts.
And Ben, who's the MD there, he's an absolute G. He's been the MD for like over 15 years and seen the whole journey as well with Richard. And working with them is sort of what it should be like, working with a big record label. I've had experiences working with major labels where it's mega long, and you'll push to sacrifice what you want to do creatively.
Yeah.
And as an artist, you never really want to be pushed too hard on changing your vision from what it is. So Excel was an absolute dream to work with, because for the first time we were working with a label that had the power, the money, the clout, you know, of the biggest labels in the world, but without the pressures of first week chart position, or worrying about money or bottom lines, or, you know, comparing it to the current other whatever at the time,
exactly,
you know, the big thing at the time, or saying we need to get this feature on it because he's on our label. You know, they weren't trying to like push on Nines onto the Kurupt album because Nines is now on XL. Or do you know what I mean?
They do what's best for the music.
Yeah, they just kept it proper and kept it true to the music. So they were wicked to work with, and very surreal. You know, signing Kurupt to XL was a very mad move.
It's almost like, because Kurupt, I mean, just from hearing everything today, it's kind of like a metaphor almost of what you've been through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
In a weird
signing
way.
that to XL is like...
yeah, in a weird way, yeah, I guess so. It's mad. It's weird, but it felt like the best move for us as well. Like, they were the only label that we could sign to and not worry about signing to them. Yeah. I think if you were doing what Kurupt do, if they signed to like a Sony or a Universal, it would have to be rebranded.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it just made sense. And it was weird because we had this vision for a while. I knew one of the first things I'd thought of was doing a Kurupt compilation. When I first started realizing that we could do some big stuff together. Yeah. That was one of the first things I wanted to do, was the compilation. So then at first no one was really into it. And I didn't have it in at Excel, so I didn't really have an option to take it to them. But I did the rounds at like all the majors I know people at, and people were like, yeah, they're cool, they're funny, you know. But no one really bit on the idea of a Kurupt compilation, like them mixing, you know, pretending to do like a pirate radio set and releasing that as a comp. No one really kind of got it at first. Yeah, and then it was when we did the 60 Minutes live with Craig David, after that, everyone got it. Everyone's like, right, we get it. They can do music. They're not just the TV thing and whatnot. So sometimes you need to just do things on your own to kind of get to the next step as well, because
you have to show them.
Could go round, take it round the houses. And this was the same when I remember watching Jay-Z doc, and they had the same problem. They took it round the houses to all the big majors, every label. And he had a bit of a buzz as well already. He wasn't like completely, like unsigned, no one, nothing around him. He already had a bit of a buzz and a bit of a team. And it was only when he started doing it himself that then everyone started paying attention. And I don't think things have changed much since.
It hasn't, man. People always want to jump on the bandwagon.
People never
hardly ever want to stick their neck out.
Yeah, there's only a few people that will do that. And those people that will are normally the people that you need to work with more long term as well, and kind of keep around you if they're there from early and backing it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was funny because we then went from having no one wanting, not like it was a big deal because we had enough going on. It wasn't like we needed the compilation out, but it went from me kind of initially shopping it around, no one being interested, to the Craig David thing happening, and us doing a few things like festivals, doing Glastonbury and Festival, and doing Champagne Steam Rooms, like takeovers in a few different places around the country, and then everyone got it.
Yeah, see?
And it was really weird to see that. See, like, one big thing. And because obviously it was with Craig David, and that really kind of brought Craig back into the spotlight as well.
Yeah.
So,
wow, look at that.
It kind of made everyone see the scope of how big they could be and how big they are and the clout they have as well. So that then turned into all these different labels being interested. And then it was like, right, actually, but the right one is Excel. Like, it always felt like the right one. So yeah, it was good that we stuck with our guns and went with them, because it's easy to get distracted by when you've got shit popping, then obviously everyone's going to want to fuck with you and offer you money and try and sign you and do stuff. But yeah, you still got to then take the right lane within that moment as well. It's quite like
that's a key moment.
Yeah, I've done it. I fucked it once with the True Tiger stuff. We signed to Virgin when we shouldn't have signed to Virgin. Was
that around the Pro Green time?
Yeah. And we done it because we did Jungle, and
and
we produced Jungle, and then that was sick. And then through that, they asked us to come in and play them other stuff. And then the A&Rs that we were playing it to, they were actually then kind of leaving on their way out, which we didn't know, and they were on their way out. And then the MD at the time, he then was sort of in charge of it all. He signed it. He sort of signed it direct, which at the time we thought was a good thing. So, okay, some other labels, it was just an A&R interested. We've got the MD at this label interested, which is good.
Yeah.
But then it just weren't the right move. He had his own agendas, trying to get his own artists on the tunes. And then afterwards, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Should have signed with someone else. Like, I then afterwards had seen other people sign with other people and being like, fuck, that guy's like way better. Do you know what I mean? He gets the vision and he's not going to fuck about with shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, I think it's a key thing then to kind of pick the right move once you have got that hype, because once the hype's there, not everyone, but a lot of people then want to get involved and take interest in what you're doing. So it's kind of, it blinds you a little bit because you've gone from having no options
to all of a sudden.
Yeah, to having all the options and then attached with some money and stuff like that as well.
Got Foxy here.
Yeah. She's enjoying the podcast.
Yeah. Well, first I just want to say that although you're like obviously a producer and you've kind of evolved out of that, I think you still approach things like an artist would, and like in terms of the consistent branding and the timing, of your acts and how you put things out. You know what I mean? She's probably licking my hand.
Yeah, she's lucky.
Yeah. I think that's good for people to hear, because there's a creative way to do different things within the creative industry. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, like having the decision to do the Kurupt FM show, but not just have them come out on stage and spit. It was more of, no, let's invite people into their world. Do you know what I mean? That it's those decisions that really make or break something. I think. Yeah,
you've got to stand out with what you do.
Definitely.
Like I said, there's so many people doing it now. Even like exciting cutting edge stuff. There's still a load of people doing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Nothing's kind of that new anymore. There's always kind of a load of people on it. So yeah, you've just got to find your own groove with it. And I think a lot of it's to do with just doing what you want to do. That's what I've learned. Like the people that I've seen do the best in their field, they're just themselves and do what they want to do.
Authenticity.
Yeah, and they're not too worried about what other people are doing or what they think. They're just going to do what they think is right, and then play up to that. Play up to those strong points that you have within yourself.
Definitely.
And make the most of those. I remember early on, like working with Ed, and a lot of people used to sort of doubt him because he was essentially a ginger guy with a guitar, and everything else was very much guys with six packs or like Pretty Boys,
of
R&B
course,
or boy band kind of material. There wasn't like singer-songwriters coming through in a commercial big way.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of doubt because of his appearance. I remember telling Virgin at the time about Ed, because we were working with him obviously. Early on, and then we signed there. So I was like, you guys need to sign this guy. Like, he is sick. Like, I've never been in studio with anyone so good. And then 6 months later, they were like, why didn't you tell us? A few months later, they're like, why didn't you tell us about this Ed Sheeran guy? I'm like, you're taking the piss.
Come on, man.
Like, come on. I was playing you Ed Sheeran tunes from early.
It's always the case. They're kicking themselves.
Ed was a G because he played up for his whole first album campaign. Everything was orange.
Yeah.
The artwork, the branding, even his microphone when he got on stage around that whole album campaign was orange.
Yeah.
And he
you're
played
right.
up to it. He said, yeah, I've got orange hair. Like, yes, I have. Well done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to play up to that and embrace that.
Smashed it.
And he smashed it. And then from there, what can you say?
What can you say? Biggest artist in the world.
Yeah. And he made it work. It suited him. It was part of his vibe, because that is him.
Yeah.
He's just a down-to-earth, chill guy. And then people would make something out of his appearance because it was different. Mm-hmm. But instead of hiding away or dyeing it black, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or getting hair transplant or wearing a cap. Or, I don't know. He was just smart with it. It seems like a small thing because it's like, obviously his hair's orange, but a lot of people.
He owned it.
Yeah, he owned it, and he was just true to himself, and that shone through way more than so many artists that were potentially big stars at the time. Mm-hmm. Because that was at the time when the UK singers were getting through.
It was singer-songwriter time,
Emily Sandé and Sam Smith and all these kind of people were coming through. Even Daly and people like that. There's all these guys coming through, and yeah, he just cut through.
Differently.
And watching that and seeing how he did it, and he was smart. Like Ed's success is fully down to him. You know, like he's got a sick team around him. His managers are G. Even the people that worked on his early projects, from Jake Goslin and Chris Leonard and all these people, they're all G's. But from being in studio with him, I know it's all down to Ed and his vision and his obsession with his craft.
Yeah.
You know, he knew everything. He knew, and I was a manager, and he knew more about people in the industry than I did. He knew people who were the marketing manager at this label. And
wow.
Like, he knew about loads of different stuff
to
obsessed. Do with music, because he was obsessed with his craft. And yeah, it just shone through like differently. Same with like Dizzee. When I worked with Dizzee in a very different way, you knew he was a genius from how he selected beats. I'd be in studio with people and I could kind of know what tunes people would like. But when I was in with Dizzee, I felt pressured. I was like, fuck. Like, I thought I had at least 6 tunes here that he's going to potentially like. I'm already down a few of them, and he's like not even like batted an eyelid.
Nope. I've been in that position with Dizzee as well.
So yeah. So, and it was at that point I thought, fuck, this is the levels. Like, this is why he's cut through and had an amazing Mercury-winning album and done all this stuff, and other people haven't quite done that, because I've worked with the people that people often say, oh, well, they should be where Dizzee is, and, you know, well, Dizzee's not the only one. And then you work with Dizzee and you're like, okay, now I
understand why.
How he's got to that point and how he's thinking about it as well. So, yeah, I think both of them showed me the kind of key, like, factor of being authentic with what you do. Like, that is so important. And just doing what you want to do, I think. Yeah. Because it's hard. There's so many things going on. And even now with like Instagram, you see someone else do something and then you think you've got to do that. Or, oh, I should be getting that. You know, this person's getting clothes from this brand.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting clothes and tracksuits and T-shirts from this brand? Which, when you say it like that, like, worrying about getting clothes and T-shirts and shit when you're trying to be a singer or a rapper or whatever, do you know what I mean? Whatever you're trying to be, and then you're getting distracted by like getting free T-shirts and trainers or invited to certain events. But Dizzee said it to me, and he was like, just focus on the music and everything else will come. Because you get carried away, you think, oh shit, well, I need to have press shots, and I need to be out at all these events because everyone else is out at these events, so I should be there socializing and networking and taking my picture with this person and doing whatever. And then you're seeing other people, successful people, do that, so you think that's what you've got to do. Which is obviously, in a way, logical as well, because if you're just seeing it online, you're going off nothing else. You're literally going off what you're seeing on Instagram.
Yeah, and people think it's like, okay, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Oh, I need to do this. Yeah,
exactly. But I think it's about just doing what you want to do and focusing on your like craft and if it's music, focus on that. If it's art, focus on creating your own vibe, and then other people will come. Like I said with Kurupt, I shopped the compilation and no one wanted to do it at first. You know, it weren't like, oh, this is shit, but no one offered us a deal.
It sounds cool, but we don't see it.
No offers on the table. But then once they see it in action, you know, they see the vision, then people come.
Show people the vision.
Same with Ruben. Like, Ruben wasn't getting commissions from brands, and, you know, no one wanted to. Even after the first couple of portraits, even after he'd done D-Double in Skepta, which, you know, in my mind, are like masterpieces. If I was at a brand and saw that, I'd be like, get this guy in ASAP. You know what I mean? But no one did it. We had to put on a show at Tate, and his print had to sell out. His D-Double had to sell out, and, you know, these things had to happen before he starts getting brand work. And, you know, it's after he'd done the image of Jeremy Corbyn that then we started getting more mainstream press and whatnot. So it takes certain things before you get that wider acceptance and wider offer of work, which is important, because obviously you've got to live. If you're passionate about something, you want to do it and make money from it, as well as sort of enjoying it and putting out your art. You obviously want to live and make money from it. So it is a bit of a battle, because you're trying to stay true to your art, but at the same time you want to be out there. So it's just about finding your way of getting it out there without sacrificing
the art,
or jeopardizing like that process, just because you want to get it out, because you see other people are releasing songs and quickly, you know, like putting a video together and then putting it out. So each artist or each project's different, and you just got to kind of find the route for it. And it might take a couple of failed attempts to do that. But I think the half of it, and this goes back to like you have your mates that used to be an MC or used to be a DJ. Mm-hmm. And I every so often when I meet up with some of those like kind of characters, there's always that sense of like, I wish I'd carried on doing what you're doing. You know, UK's doing all right now, like all Storms, all Skepta and Wiley and that.
I wish I stuck it out.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And there's that thing. And a lot of people didn't stick it out then because grime and the whole UK movement, it wasn't making any money and it was getting shut down.
Yeah, exactly.
And none of the majors wanted to know about it unless you turned it into cheesy kind of pop grime, which again was sacrificing the art, and the majors were putting pressures on artists to do that because they were worried about first week sales and getting on Radio 1 playlist and money and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think it's important just to stick to your guns with whatever you do, even if it takes a bit longer or it fails at first. Just kind of stick to it.
It's good advice. Good advice. So, last question: if you could go back to year 11 and like knowing what you know now, and you could speak to yourself, what if you would tell yourself anything? What would you tell yourself?
Boy, that's a tough one. A lot's changed since then. The landscape's changed from then to now. But I think it would just be to get out there and do it, really. Like from seeing people like Stormzy being so young and doing more than what most of us have done.
Yeah.
In like a long amount of time, and what he's done in a short amount of time, to seeing even someone like Vicky Grout. I've worked with her a lot, and just seeing her from sort of being about at a few raves to now sort of being a full-time photographer with a shitload of followers, her own kind of brand, and now doing loads of big brand work as well, and still being so young, but so grown with it as well, you know, being professional, like turning up to jobs and like being on it, not being rude. You know, if you deal with Stormzy, he's so polite. Do you know what I mean? Even the first Kurupt show, like he came out at Coco and he didn't want any money for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was trying to give him petrol money at least. Do you know what I mean? Because he's still, people don't realise if someone's coming to do your show, they're still paying to come down there.
Yeah.
You know, even if they don't take a fee, it still costs them, whether they live down the road or 2 hours away, there's some cost getting there and back. So I was trying to give him money that would cover petrol, you know, and a bit more or whatever. And he just wouldn't have it, you know. And it was like, right, this guy's so young, but so grown. And
there you
like,
go, yeah.
You know,
he knew the value. Like,
yeah, it was mad.
This is for the culture.
It boggled my mind. I'm not going to lie. And yeah, just seeing young people like that do it, it just made me think like, shit, I wish like we just sort of at 16 just fully got on it. But it's tough to say that because obviously there's education and you need to kind of focus on that because you're paying to do that and you're there till whatever age, 18 or whatever it is. So it's hard, I think, when you're at school as well. But then you see all these new kids that are just smashing it. So it's doable.
Yeah.
I don't actually know how. I don't have that answer, actually. I don't really know what advice I could give myself to do a lot better because we were doing it. We were DJing garage, but it was just at school parties and in local bars and pubs in Watford.
Yeah.
It wasn't at like Wireless Festival or like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't what Stormzy was doing, like
exactly.
Red Bull Culture Clash.
Yeah.
You know, when BBK were on and he came out and owned it.
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
A moment.
Yeah, that was a moment.
Over one of our releases by Mystery.
Yeah, that's right.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to see that. And I think that's a progression of where UK has gone. Because when I was coming through, there wasn't anyone that was really like benchmark. Then Dizzy did it, you know. And then more in recent years with Skepta and Stormzy and people like that, you're starting to see it even more. And even before that, seeing Ed do it, take it international.
Yeah.
You know, you saw people like that, Sam Smith, and all these UK kind of names, and Disclosure, Scream, you know, all these different Chasing Status, all these people doing international moves. And I think all of that has led to this generation of kids kind of being able to kind of reach that.
Yeah.
And see that route, which is sick.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's the progression. Whereas when we started,
it was just
there
America.
was no route.
Yeah.
And there was just America and no one wanted to listen. Whereas now people are seeing, shit, these guys are making money. Like JME is rich. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not about that at all, but he's done well.
Yeah.
Like he is doing better than a lot of pop artists, and he's kept it fully underground and done what he's wanted to do. He never does anything he doesn't want to do.
That's the most admirable thing about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's amazing. It blows my mind. Like the guy, he's got his branding, his morals, you know, his brand morals. It's just down to a T, and he's had that from early. He's used social media to his advantage really well. You know, he's worked that, like Stormzy.
Yeah.
You know, they've really kind of understood what those platforms are about and utilised them in a big way, to a point where those platforms can allow them to, you know, get their albums in the top 40 independently. So, yeah, I think all those kind of examples and those people have really now opened it up and made it a lot easier for people to come through and given them a blueprint of how to do it.
Yep.
Whether it's, you look at Stormzy's story of how he done it, he didn't get involved with all the radio sets and like the traditional Sidewinder pirate radio route. He just did songs and like videos.
Yeah.
And they banged hard. Whereas other people like Wiley and DEE have got a lot of respect and fan base because they've come through that pirate radio scene. There's a whole kind of history behind them, to where now, you know, 10 years later after them doing that, it now has a mass weight, you know, where Wiley's doing books and
getting an MBE.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
From the people that hated our movement, they're now awarding him because they have to, and that's a PR move because they're now out of fashion. That whole old, you know, sort of Maggie Thatcher approach to UK culture, it can't run anymore because the grime scene, UK hip hop scene, has forced the hand of the whole country because of the great culture around it, the music, the fashion, the slang, you know, everything around it has now seeped into parents. Parents now talk like that. Parents will spud you. You know, the parents will try and be cool and say safe or wagwan or do you know what I mean? Like or they'll like Kurupt FM, you know, we get loads like, oh, my dad's a massive fan, my mum's a massive fan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
my mum's a massive fan, to
exactly.
be fair.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's kind of those 10 years of, and even before that, from like drum and bass, jungle and garage, all of that exciting UK music has led to this kind of new wave of culture in fashion, in music, in even TV now. You know, we're Kurupt FM and a load of other people that are coming through, like Mo the Comedian and Michael Dapper. And all these people are coming through, and Riz Ahmed and Noel Clark and Ashley Waters. All these guys are changing the face of UK TV. I think it's behind music. Sadly, I think there's still a lot of work to do to get
for sure.
TV culture, like English TV is so dead compared to like other countries. You know, there's so much more variety, and it's just a lot more in tune with what's going on in other countries. I think we're really behind still here, but it's happening, even if it is mainly online, on Instagram and through viral videos and stuff. But essentially, I think that's where a lot of people are now digesting like visual content anyway. You know, even sometimes more regular than on TV or whatever. So I think it's a really exciting time for people to come through. If you're in year 11 now and you're hating school, then definitely get involved with the arts.
It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, and there's so many good people that you can probably reach out to and might be able to get a hold of through Instagram.
Yeah,
these platforms. You might actually be able to reach, work with these people. Even one of my new artists, Jay Gray, we've put out 2 tunes, like quickly, just vibe tunes as well. We've not even tried releasing a proper single. And today she was in studio with one of her idols, who she's always wanted to work with and always wanted to meet. And that's just come from us getting a bit of music out there.
Look at that.
So, and then next thing you know, this person's following her on Instagram and DMing her and then recommending her music to fans on Twitter. And
there you go. Wow.
It's all about putting yourself out there, I think. And it sounds, I think like from a motivational point of view, it's all about just doing it, which sounds cheesy or whatever, but it is just about doing it and doing what you want to do and just believing in that.
Absolutely.
And fully believing in it. If you're kind of a bit half-hearted, then you're not going to be able to sell that to other people. So I think, you just got to find your groove and then be confident in that for it to last. Because some people come through and they'll have one album that does all right and, they get that initial fame and money and followers and, whatever. But then it's the people that are really kind of true to themselves that are kind of more long-standing. It's kind of when Skepta was like, right, fuck all the Gucci and all of that. I'm black tracksuit. Yeah. That's when people are like, yes.
That was a moment.
I relate to this now. Like, I get it. Like, this is like my, this is like me in Tottenham. Or this is me in Manchester. Or me in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? All over the country, people are relating to that. Like, tracksuit vibe. This is me. I don't relate to Gucci and all these brands that the Americans are wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
And whatnot. So I think, it's when people do that, that's when it cuts through.
Authenticity, man. Definitely.
100%.
It's a great answer. Okay, so now you've gone through the whole For the Creators podcast and you've gone through the questions. Who would you be interested in hearing answer the same questions?
JME.
Definitely.
I think JME would be really interesting to hear things from his point of view because he's a great thinker. And also a great thinker is Mike Skinner. I've been lucky enough to do some work with him with Kurupt. And the way he thinks is just amazing, really left. And I just love hearing him talk. Even like we're talking about his rucksack. And even that, just his take on rucksacks and the design of them and everything. Like, instantly I was just like, this is why this guy is a sick creative G. Because he's thought about this in some next way. So anyone like that really. Anyone that's kind of got a cult brand. I think at the moment JK is a really interesting character. Really like what he's doing and I think he's shaping up a really, really interesting picture with what he's doing. And it'd be interesting to hear how he thinks as well, actually. Yeah. I think he's quite an interesting guy. And his accent's sick as well. His Brummy accent.
Brummy.
Yeah. Who else? Just UK, yeah?
Oh, no, whoever. But, I mean, 3's fine, man. Like, getting those people on would be amazing. Like, definitely Jamie's and Mike Skinner and JK are definitely on the wish list. Yeah. So, yeah, man. Well, look, everyone, like, this has been a great conversation. And if you want to follow Stanza, just at True Tiger on Instagram. Jump onto that. Hit me up if you have any further questions or any further elaboration you need. Thanks for being on the show, man. Really appreciate your time. I know we've gone way over.
All good, man.
All good.
Glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to link up.
Dope.
All right, big up, man.
Nice one.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you tune in on Wednesdays for our Spotlight episodes with my co-host, Veneer, and a special guest. Please rate and review this podcast, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that's going to help a lot more people, a lot more creatives hear this show, and that's what we want. Lastly, follow us on everything. We're at for_the creators. Or you can email us on forthecreatorsshow@gmail.com.